confidence, there is a lot of ways that it can hold you back. And one of them being in the bedroom. Now, if there is one position that I know a ton of women struggle with, it is definitely cowgirl. Lots of us have the fear of being on top. What do I look like? What do I do? What do I do with my hands? How do I move my hips? It's already hard enough for women to stay in their body. This is a position that usually lands us into our mind. However, when you can calm yourself down and step into your pleasure and into your confidence, cowgirl is one of the best sex positions there is out there, and I am convinced. I too used to have extremely low body confidence. And no, I don't have a magic fix for that other than consistent work. There's no overnight pill that is just gonna take that away like that. But honestly, I should do a body confidence video because I moved out of that. But I do wanna say that body confidence is kind of one of those things that I truly believe ebb and flows. As a woman, our body changes throughout different phases in our life. Obviously, when we have children or if we decide to have children, our body is going to change again. And even for those of us that choose not to have children, our body is eventually going to shift into menopausal. Don't forget premenopause. The point is, our body is never going to be the same as it is today, right now. But that is absolutely no excuse not to get out there and do things. Do things that make you feel uncomfortable, but at your own pace. But my goal for this video is how to get you to ride your partner with confidence no matter what phase or what stage you are in. Because I truly believe this position has so much to offer, and it's not one just to be written off as I've tried it. So on my Instagram a while back, I did do a little bit of a questionnaire box on why some women might not actually enjoy being on top. So I'm gonna share with you guys a little bit of the feedback that I got from my followers. There was one response that stood out to me, and I think a lot of women can actually relate to this. When it comes to the bedroom, I like to fall into more a submissive role. I don't particularly like being in control, so being dominant feels very uncomfortable for me. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this position can feel very dominant, and that's one of the reasons why I do really enjoy it. However, it doesn't need to be. There is different modifications that you can do to make you feel more submissive. The second one that I think is absolutely relatable is revolving around confidence. I'm not 100% confident with my body, so having his eyes on me makes it feel like he's judging me, as silly as that sounds. This is something that I think we can all resonate with. However, this is not the only position that this happens in. This happens throughout sex just in general. And there's a lot that I would like to say to that one specific question. Another one was, I feel pressure to perform when I'm on top. Girl, I think we have all been there. We have been taught and conditioned as women that sex is for the man. We were taught to perform. So shaking off that performative role can be really, really hard. And it's something that I love working with women on. The last one, also extremely relatable. I'm not that experienced and I don't know what to do. How should I move? Back and forth, up and down? What do I do with my hands? Is there something that he's expecting me to do? Oh my gosh. This reminds me of my 16-year-old mind where I was like, all I've done is watch adult entertainment on how to be up here and I feel so out of place. It's like trying a sport for the first time. It can be really, really confusing and awkward. But that's where I come in because it's my job to teach you guys how to take control of your own pleasure and also how to ride your partner like a pro. So let's hack the first issue. Let's talk about pressure because we want to lessen that pressure. The first thing that we want to do when we feel a lot of pressure built up around sex or the bedroom is to open up that conversation. I want you guys to communicate with each other. I know it's one of the most obvious and boring pieces of advice out there, but it really truly does work. Without talking to your partner, you will never know what they love in the bedroom and what they dislike in the bedroom. And there's no way for your partner to know what you love and what you dislike in the bedroom. For this specific position, maybe tell them what you're scared of or what you're fearful of. There is usually something that your partner can say to help soften or offer you something to help lessen that pressure. To be honest, I feel pretty confident in saying a lot of men actually like this position because it brings them pleasure seeing their partner getting off. But you won't know why your partner wants you to do this position or wants you to try this position unless you talk about it. But here are some simple quick fixes for right now. Lights off. Now, obviously, this is not a long-term thing. You need to work on your confidence. But if you're worried about them judging you or seeing you from a bad angle, lights off if that means you can drop into your body and slowly work into LED strip lights or a lamp or a nightlight, and then move into, I don't know, maybe sex in the daytime. My favorite tip, and this is one that actually helped me, is to wear lingerie. Now, obviously, you need to choose your lingerie very selectively. You need something that is crotchless. But lingerie can help kind of distract your man, hold everything in a place that you feel confident in, and make you feel and look extra sexy and extra confident. A lot of the time, we feel better when we're dressed. So this can be a really good tool to use while you're learning how to get confident with being on top. The third tip is a way to enter into the kink realm, just a little bit. A blindfold. A blindfold can be a super hot, and it can let you just rock out in your pleasure and not have to worry about your partner staring you down or feeling like they're judging you. So whether that's using a tie, an eye mask, or an actual blindfold, give it a shot and try it out. There is one thing that really helped me with being on top, and that is the fact that I don't have to make eye contact with them the whole entire time. You can close your eyes, you can feel on your own body, or look literally anywhere else. You don't have to stare into their soul the whole time, and vice versa. So this is obviously the moment that you have all been waiting for. How do I do it, Miranda? How do I ride my man with confidence? Well, I'm gonna give you a few different tips and a few different techniques. The first thing that I wanna do is actually switch it up from cowgirl to man missionary. So in this position, you are actually gonna be laying on top of him, still straddling him, but instead of being propped up and on top like yeehaw, you're gonna be laying on top of his chest and his stomach. So this is a really intimate position. The reason why I chose this position is specifically because you don't have to worry about him staring at you or you feeling uncomfortable in your body, because you guys are so close together that he doesn't have a chance to really stare at you anyway. Now, because in this position you are still on your knees but you are hinged forward, this allows your man to still do the work. So if you're struggling with that whole dominant piece, your man can still dominate you from the bottom. He's just gonna be thrusting in and out, and you are gonna be very stationary on the top. Now, once you start to get more comfortable with this position, you can then move into cowgirl, where now you are sitting up. Now, this leads us to our second movement. So as you start to become more comfortable with being on top, you're gonna need to start moving your hips a lot more. So it comes a time where you need to try different techniques. The first technique that I want you to try is the grinding method. You're gonna take your man all the way in nice and deep, and you're gonna be sitting right down on him. Then you're slowly gonna be grinding your hips back and forth, back and forth. So your focus for this method isn't gonna be that in and out penetration. You're essentially having the penis stay in one spot and you're grinding, rocking back and forth on it. So it's not moving in and out. It's a grinding motion, or like sifting. I love lubrication in this position. I like it nice and wet because you're gonna be using their pubic bone to rub your clitoris. And this is just one of the many reasons why being on top rocks, because you're in control. You can change the speed, you can change the intensity. You can choose to rest more weight on him or less. Over time, once you've been in this position, you're gonna figure out the way that maximize pleasure the best for you. And just because you found your rhythm in this position with your partner currently doesn't mean it's gonna remain the same to your next one if you do have one, because after all, penis curve definitely does matter. Like for instance, if you have the penis curve that is going more down, reverse cowgirl is probably a little bit more ideal for you to practice, but harder to master. And I just want to remind you ladies that this position isn't so much for your man, but it's actually meant for you. It's about your enjoyment. For like the first time in sex ever, this position is meant for your enjoyment. So if you're the gal that needs clitoral stimulation during sex, this is definitely gonna be one of your top 5 positions. So make sure you're grinding back and forth to get off. When it comes to men, they do like doing that in and out. So what do we have to do in this position? This position means we have to be bouncing up and down, up and down. That is going to be mostly for the man's pleasure. Now, while this movement might tire your legs out a little bit more quick, it is is definitely worth it if you like seeing your partner in pleasure. Now, when it comes to bouncing down, up and down on him, the easiest way to do it is from being on your knees. You need to move your body up and down. But also, if your legs are getting tired, start playing with the angle. Lean forward or lean back. Honestly, one of my favorite variations is leaning back and putting my hands on their quads. Plus, when you add this rocking motion, it pretty much hits your G zone every single time. Now, I will say I'm not one for just this bouncing up and down method. I like to add almost like an anterior tilt at the same time. So it's almost like you're adding that grind at the bottom and pulling up at the top. Grind at the bottom, pulling up at the top. It's coming a lot from your hips. So if you're not really confident of moving your hips, try it in your off time. Move your hips to the music, move your hips in circles, go the other way, back and forth. There's different types of breathing techniques that you can do to optimize your hip motions and mobility. Honestly, I could break this video down into a whole leg science on how to be good on top, because you're not just using your quads. If you are just using your quads, girl, you are gonna burn out right quick. Use your adductors, that's the inside of your legs, to squeeze you in and help pull you up. And that will allow you to kind of create that motion in your hips. Now, I did bring up my arms briefly and what I like to do with them. However, I'm gonna give you some variations on what to do with your hands. Obviously, you're not gonna cross your arms when you're on top. So the easiest thing to do when you don't know what to do with your hands, place them on your partner's chest or on their quads. When you do this, obviously you're gonna be changing the angle. So pay attention to your body and which one feels best for you. Another thing that you can do is you can also lean forward on your forearms, resting the majority of your body on top of theirs. As you get more confident in this position, you eventually start giving them a show. My goal here is to get you to drop into your pleasure. Give your breasts that massage. Rock your hips, grind them in whichever way you want to. Touch your legs, touch their balls. Honey, there is nothing stopping you from reaching forward and massaging your clit. Like I said, this position is meant for you. Embody that sexual goddess. How do they show up? How do they move their body? What type of confidence is radiating off them? Try to empower yourself. No negative talk here. Only positive. One of the blessed things about this position is when your legs get tired or you're gassed, just lean forward and let your partner do the work. You could also raise yourself slightly off the bed, keeping them about an inch in you. This allows him to get that deep thrust still. I mean, this is not the most mind-blowing thing, but it can still feel really great for your partner. One of the most important things about cowgirl is finding the proper rhythm. Now, some people like to have sex to music. Honestly, I just like to move my body until I find something that feels good for generally both of us. However, in this position, I am a little bit more selfish because chances are I want to make sure that I catch my nut before you get yours. One thing to kind of keep you in check when you're just starting out is only one of you do the motion, because things can get kind of out of sync. And when that happens, switch it back to just one of you. From there, you should be able to kind of guide your partner to move with you. But there's no shame in having a little laugh and resetting.